Hi guys, hi everyone, welcome back again. Thank you so much for stopping by. I feel so blessed having you guys around me. I feel so delighted. Today is the day that the Lord has made, and I will rejoice and be glad in it. We will all rejoice and be glad in it. So guys, in today's video I'll be showing you guys how I actually made this 6 pieces bustier dress on my screen. I actually made it with 2 different fabrics, and you can also incorporate any fabric of your choice, just whatever fabric you feel like using. The most important thing is to understand the basics. So I urge you guys to please sew along with me, draft along with me, and I hope you guys enjoy every bit of the process. I'm here to give you guys what you want. So guys, without wasting much of your time, sit back, relax, have a great time, and don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to share, and give me that like button if you find it so interesting. So guys, let's get started. So guys, on my pattern I've placed my horizontal measurement. I do this in most of my tutorials, but I'll be explaining what the lines represent briefly. So for my shoulder line, I have my bust line at 11, the under bust 14, and the waistline at 18. I'll go ahead and place my neckline 4 inches on the shoulder line, and then I'll come down by 4 inches. Okay, so I'll go ahead and draft my neckline. So I actually want a U neckline. Okay, so just go ahead and place the neckline of your choice. So what I'll simply do next is to place my shoulder measurement. I'll mark 7.5, and then I'll come back by 1 inch. For the armhole, I'll be marking 9 inches, which is 18 divided by 2 gave me 9 inches. So I'll go ahead and establish my chest line. Then I'll use this line to get the midpoint in order for me to draft my armhole curve. So from the midpoint I went in by 0.5 inches, and then on the chest line I placed the quarter of my bust circumference, which is your bust circumference divided by 2, to get the armhole curve. The next thing I'll simply do, guys, is to mark my half bust span, which is my nipple to nipple divided by 2. I'll link the 3 points up together. For the under bust contouring, guys, I'll be moving towards the side front by 2 inches, and then I'll contour it towards the bust point. So guys, for the over bust contouring, on the armhole, since it's a princess dart bustier, I'll be coming down by 4 inches, and then I'll link it up to the bust point. Okay, so I'm using the curvy part, or using a curvy ruler rather, to establish this curve. Right on the armhole, I went up by 1 inch and I came down by 1 inch, and on the bust line I went up by half an inch. You can do 1 inch depending on the bust size, but half an inch is suitable for me. So I'll go ahead and contour this towards the bust point. Okay, I'm trying to ensure that I get the curve, so I'm just blending it properly, and then I'll contour the other side as well towards the bust point. Okay, yeah, so we're good here. I think I'm good with this. So what I'll simply do next is to place my vertical measurement. So on the chest line, you know, I already have the quarter of my bust circumference there, so I'm going to be replacing the dart intake by 2 inches, and then a seam allowance of 1.5 inches. So basically the dart intake for the armhole, please make sure you place it there. Then I transfer the measurement I have on the chest line down to the bust line. It's just so easy. And then on the under bust, I place the quarter of my waist under bust circumference plus the dart intake, and then 1.5 inch seam allowance. Same for the waistline as well. So I'll just go ahead to also add additional 2 inches on the lower dart intake, on the lower part of the overbust contour. Okay, so I'll just replace that basically so that we don't have any form of shortage by the time we'll, join the panels together. You might end up reducing your shoulder seam if you don't replace or add this additional measurements to that lower part. Okay, so just do this to be sure that you play safe. It's better safe than sorry. Okay, so I'll just link it up and create my new armhole. Okay, and then I'll go ahead and tighten the side front. This is not necessary, but because of the style illustration, there was need for me to also tighten the side front again. So I tightened it by a simple waist dart of 0.5 inches on both sides. Okay, so I also replaced the dart intake of 1 inches, and then I created the straight line you can see. So I have 3 panels, 1, 2, 3. So like I mentioned, snatching the side front is not compulsory, okay, but if you just want additional tightening, fine. So I added my shoulder seam 1/2 inch, and then I'll go ahead and cut out this pattern. So guys, I went ahead to move the dart I tightened on the side front a little bit further, simply because I felt that it kind of fell on the armhole, so it wasn't looking too safe for me. So I wanted to play safe. I just adjusted it a bit further towards the side front. I went ahead to place my dart. So we've done the dart replacement, so I'll go ahead and cut this out. Okay, so it's okay here. You can also choose to just leave it the way it was, okay, because along the line I just felt that I could have just left it there, but it's here already. So this is what we have for the front pattern. So guys, I'll go ahead and draft a back pattern for this style illustration. This is the zip allowance. The difference between the front and the back is the zip allowance, like we all know. So I'll place my neckline, which is 4 inches on the shoulder line, and I came down by 1.5 inches. Okay, you can do 1 inch or 2 inches. Okay, so I'll go ahead and place my shoulder measurement divided by 2. I'll come down by 1 inch for the armhole slope, and then the same 9 inches for the armhole. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and establish the chest line. I'll determine the midpoint. I'll determine the midpoint of that line to create my armhole slope or the armhole curve using my bust circumference, the quarter of my bust circumference. Okay, so if you watch the front pattern, I'm sure you clearly understand what I'm doing here. Okay, so I'm just using a pencil to draw out my chest line, turning it, linking it to the side, to the center front, I meant to say, please guys. Okay, then I'll go ahead to place my half bust span and link it up to the measurements on the chest line. So I'll be doing bust line here. I'll be working with my chest line for the back pattern. Okay, so for the contouring, I came down by 3 inches. I marked 3 inches on the shoulder line, and I linked it up to the chest line. Okay, so from that point I went out by 1 inch to create the new armhole slope. Okay, so you understand basically why we do this, why I added that 1 inch, just to play safe and ensure that we don't run out of fabric. Okay, so I went ahead to place the quarter of my waist measurement plus 1.5 inch seam allowance, and then I linked it up. So after doing that, just like I did for the front pattern, the part of the side tightening, side front tightening, I just went ahead to create a straight line. Okay, you can decide to tighten your back darts or just leave it the same this way. So I went ahead to number it 1, 2, 3. So it's very easy, guys. I'll be working with this fabric on my working table, but I'll be basically drafting the pattern using the lining first. Okay, so guys, I just transferred the pattern I drafted on the lining, and then I added 1/2 inch round except the neckline. You can choose to add 1/2 inch round the neckline if you just want to work with just 4x4, but I deliberately left it like that. So with that measurement, the pattern plus the half an inch by the side, I went ahead to draw a straight line down to the hem. I actually got my hemline using my waistline measurement. The waist is 18, so from 18 I just measured down to 43. Okay, so on the hemline I went up by 4 inches, so I'll be linking it to the waistline. Okay, it's very important that you add half an inch on the waistline so that you know you have a seam allowance, you don't eat into your fabric. So it's very important that you place this half an inch measurement on the pattern. Okay, so I'll just link this up and then I'll cut it out. Okay guys, after trimming it out, we'll just move straight to the mid front. This is the second panel, number 2. So just like I did for the number 1 of the front panel, I added half an inch round, okay, so that we don't eat into our fabric. And I'm using the additional measurement of half an inch in addition to the main pattern. I just went ahead to create my measurement, the full measurement of the dress from the waistline. Okay, so from 18 you can see that I'm taking the other measurement from my waistline, which is 18, down to make it up to 43 inches. So for the mid front I'll be adding 4 inches on both sides. Okay, remember that for the first panel I just added 4 inches on the side, but for the mid panel I added 4 inches on both sides. So I'll go ahead and create a line. Okay, just link it up to the waistline. Okay, so guys, this is the third panel for the front pattern. I also added half an inch on one side, and for the side front, the side I didn't add anything. Okay, I've already added seam allowance on that part, so I just added half an inch towards on the pattern and towards the mid front. Okay, so just like I did for the mid front, I'll add 4 inches on both sides and then link it up to the waistline. Okay, this is very easy guys. Okay, so after doing this I'll also do the same for the back pattern. Okay, so no need repeating myself. You already have an idea of what I'm going to do, so I just went ahead to use the pattern to cut out the main fabric. Okay, so the fabric of your choice, just choose your fabric and use the pattern to cut it out. It's as easy as that. Okay, so this is the front pattern, and then this is the back. Okay, I basically did the same. What I did for the front pattern, I did the same for the back. Okay, so this is the zip allowance. I've cut it open. Okay, remember when you're drafting this part, it's usually placed on fold. The first panel for the back is placed on fold, so you just cut it open after drafting your panel. So this is the side front for the back and the side front for the front, which is panel 3 for back and panel 3 for the front. So on the hemline I went up by 2 inches. Okay, so I'm going to link it towards the center front so that we don't have the edge so sharp. Okay, it's going to be a little bit curvy at that edge. Okay, so it's very important to create this slope towards at the side front. So just have in mind that I have the side front for the back and the side front for the front, but the front seems to be a bit broader than the back. It doesn't matter. Okay, so this is the front panel. I just opened up the main fabric for the front panel, and this is what we have. See what it looks like. Okay, but I'm going to be placing my wadding on the mid front and on the center front. This is the front panel, so the side front is not necessary for this part. So I just need panel 1 and panel 2. Okay, so I'm going to be turning it to the wrong side. This is the wrong side, and then I'll place my wadding on it. Place it directly from the under bust. Okay, and ensure that the points are matching. Make sure you notch your bust line and your under bust line. So I placed my wadding, and then I simply marked the radius of my under bust there, which is 3.5 inches. Okay, so you can see what I'm doing. I'm just marking the radius of my under bust, and then I'll go ahead to cut out the excess wadding. So the radius of your under bust and then trim out the excess. If it's 4, just measure 4. If it's 3.5, you measure 3.5. If it's 3, it's okay. So I'll trim out the excess, and then I'll go ahead to create a little curve. Just watch me, you understand what I'm trying to do. So you can secure with a pin first so that, you know, to stabilize that wording. So I'm going to curve this way, okay? Okay. So, and then I'll trim out the excess. Okay, so I'll do the same for the other side. I'll just curve it a little bit so that we don't have our bottom protruding towards the armhole. Okay, so I'll just curve it this way, and then I'll trim out the excess as well. Yeah, guys, so I went ahead to use my iron to glue it. Okay, so have in mind that is the part that have the glue that I placed on the wrong side. So I just used my iron, gave it a very hot press, and glued it to the fabric. Okay, so I'm trying to trim out the excess in between the mid front and the center front. Okay, so guys, okay, I'll just trim out this, and yeah, we're good to go. So I'll go ahead and place it this way. I'm going to be stitching it. Okay, so just make sure that your bust points and your under bust points are matching when you're joining these panels together. It's very important so that you don't just miss out on the very important things. Just place it bust to bust, okay, under bust to under bust. Ensure that you secure it with a pin. Basically, for me to place it, I usually run my stitch from my bust point first down, especially when it has to do with princess bustier. Okay, so this is what we have. You can see how beautiful the the dress itself is looking. Okay, well, so guys, I'll suggest that you notch the seam and then relax it as well. It's very important to give it that very neat finishing in front. Okay, so this is the back as well, and then this is the lining. Okay, ensure you relax your seams. It's very important. Okay, so I'm going to be using the lining to turn up the neckline and the hemline as well, excluding the armhole. Okay, so you turn up the neckline, turn up the sides and the hemline, then you turn it out through the armhole. Okay, so I've done it. You can see what we have, and then I gave it a good press. Remember that I said I turned it out through the armhole. Okay, so you can go ahead to top stitch your armhole the way it is. Okay, top stitch the main fabric of your armhole. This is the back, and then I joined it, bringing out I joined it, okay, using the seam allowance for the zip. Okay, a temporary stitch is for the zip, the upper part, and then a permanent stitch down, okay, to enable me place my zip. So I'll go ahead and close up my shoulder line, my shoulder for the front and the back. Okay, lining to lining, main fabric to main fabric. Okay, and then I'll go ahead and attach my sleeve. Okay, so this is the basic sleeve. I have a tutorial on this. You can check it out, how to draft a basic sleeve. Okay, so I'll go ahead and join the shoulder, attach the sleeve, and then I'll bring it back for you guys to see. So this is what we have. I've joined the shoulder, like I said, lining to lining, main fabric to main fabric, and then I placed my sleeve. Okay, I usually like to place my sleeve before closing up the side. Okay, so I'll go ahead and place it this way. Right sides facing each other. Okay, ensure that you align your dress properly. Okay, so take your measurement for your armhole, measurement for the bust, measurement for the waist, and then go ahead and close it up. Okay, you can secure it first with a pin. That's what I did, and then we're good to go. Thank you so much guys for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Have a blessed day. Okay.